of the Parks and Recreation Commission of the City of Olivet. Roll call, Commissioner Lee.
Present.
Commissioner-
Present.
Commissioner Huerman. Rob. Commissioner Huerman.
You have to unmute.
Yeah, I'm sorry, present. Thank you. Sorry.
Commissioner Rich.
Here.
Commissioner Hanson.
Present.
And I am present. So there is a quorum. Quorum is of 4 folks. Oh, Mayor Weil. And Director. Yes. Seeing Assistant Director LaChance here. Okay. Have there been any written communication since the last meeting?
No, there have not.
Okay. Are there any citizens online that wish to talk?
No, there are
I
none.
do not see any. I would then entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting of August 17th, 2022. Does anyone see anything that needs to be corrected? Hearing none.
I make
would-
a motion to approve the meeting minutes from August 2nd and August 17th.
Second.
All in favor? Or do we- do we
Aye.
need-
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So ordered. Okay, as we move along, so I'm going to take things a bit out of order tonight so that we can make sure that everyone has an opportunity to provide a input. I would like to move to the Parks Memorial Program and to go through that. And I don't know, has everyone had a chance to review that as far from the packet, from the download packet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I will open for discussion. I think Keisha and I, it started out with Ed, Keisha, and I don't know, Mary Kay, I believe, and then it has morphed over time, but it turned out to be the 2 of us, and then Maxine helped as well with this. So as we look through the process, one of the things that we were looking at was to make sure that we were covering areas which we needed to cover, making sure that it was inclusive to folks, so that there were different levels of giving that could be done, and that it fit into the needs of the parks as we move forward. Many of you know, we have a lot of benches and a lot of contribution and interest in Stacy Park, but we have 4 others. So that was kind of the overall view of things. So I would open it up to discussion in terms of what people are, if you have comments or suggestions for changes or whatever.
Couple of questions. On section 2, flowers and donations, the spring and fall bulb, are those annual or perennials? Okay, so that's,
Perennial. Anything that we plant is perennial through the donation program. Absolutely.
and I always get confused, the perennials are every year.
Perennials
No,
are,
annuals, yeah, they'll come back.
Okay,
Now, if you go to the Missouri Botanical Gardens, they treat bulbs as annuals, but we do not.
right. They plant a lot of exotics that won't survive the winter, and then tulips, and we don't plant tulips. We only do crocuses, daffodils, things that'll come back.
okay.
But they
Wow.
do have to be refreshed every couple of years.
And is that a recurring donation amount of the $100 or one time, and then we just,
Yeah,
Yeah, these are all one-time donations.
okay.
It might be a good idea. Should we put one time in there somewhere?
okay. We can add that to the
And another question. I wasn't sure what a solid tweak monarch bench is. Is it shaped like a butterfly or why is it called monarch?
That is the model name from the company where we purchased them. So they have a line of benches and tables. That's the Monarch line. It
Okay.
just happens to be a happy coincidence.
Because we talk about monarchs up above.
Right,
That's why.
right,
I wasn't sure.
Right, right.
Then last question, we don't have an option for engraving. Like the reason I would think somebody would wanna, it would be part of the reason for doing the memorial is to have it in honor of.
It absolutely is engraved. So item B is engraved on top or bottom rail with text provided by donor. There is an option for them
Oh,
not to
option
engrave
three,
it.
no, great, sorry. I
Right.
misread. Thank you.
Right, no problem.
Have you seen the new benches? They're more of a natural wood. There's a couple up at Stacy and one on the walkway between Dealman and Lindley.
There are
Yeah.
two on the walkway now. The one at Oak Estates is the newest one that looks the best. The other one, someone took it upon themselves to add some stain to it. So we now have new verbiage in there that
You can't stain them.
you cannot stain them because they're supposed to, it's teak, so we want them to age now.
So if you park near Lindley and walk east, it's not even, it's just a few feet, but it's
Yeah.
really beautiful, but it shows you on the, where the seat is, it's carved out, the
Okay.
engraving.
Okay.
If you like, I have a photo if you want to see it.
I would love to.
Okay.
As long as that-
So
Jim,
we're-
what's the charge of the commission on this tonight?
We are, the charge is to review the policy and if we feel that it is adequate, we will forward it to the city council for ratification or for approval, because we're a recommending commission in this particular.
Right.
And they will make it part of the city government.
Okay,
So on the screen, you'll see that when the bench is new, it is like a honey color. And
Well,
oh, it's coming. There it is.
Okay.
Sorry. It's a honey color. And then within a year, it turns to that beautiful silver color. And then we have on here wording that says it will not be stained or treated. We put that on there so people know right away what it's going to look like. And then we have the specs in here for people. And this is how it looks when it's engraved.
Thank you.
Are you currently sharing that?
Are you,
We cannot because Bev's computer is not linked into the Zoom.
Okay,
Well, I can log into Zoom and then I can share. I should do that
So-
so Sue can see it.
So I do have a question.
Yeah.
Are we doing bottom only or top or and bottom?
They have a choice. They can do both. They can do none.
And
They can
there's
do
no
just
extra
one.
fee for that.
It's included in the cost. There is an
Fabulous.
extra fee, but it's included in the cost.
Thank you.
and what were we going to add to the flower donation that it's,
I think to everything, I'll add language at the top that it's all or one time.
one-time donations, okay?
Now, I'm concerned. I'm going to turn off my.
Okay, are there other questions, Rob or Sue? Yeah, you want to see the benches, sure.
Are they doing that? One more question about the donor recognition? I'm assuming either way, we're providing a tax letter for them, the tax ID?
Correct.
Just if it's over 25, we're providing a thank you as well.
Yes, yes.
That's in the policy.
The-
Okay.
the-
It's
the
just a little
tribute
bit further
card.
down.
So everyone would get an acknowledgement with the tax ID. And then there would be a tribute card that they could give to an honoree or to an honoree's family.
We said the tribute cards would be mailed out by the city. So like
Correct.
there'd be a form. So like say I wanted to do something in honor of Keisha becoming the president of the school board.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Then I could make that and then they would send that out to her saying that Maxine Well made this contribution in your honor.
sure.
And if it's 25 or over, I get. No, if it's $100 over, you get your it in the newsletter, if it's it could be $5
Mhm.
and you won't get the tribute card, right?
Correct.
But for 25, you can get the tribute card sent.
Is this I'm sorry, Maxine, and
Go
you
ahead.
may not have, you may not have been finished. Is the program expected to be budget neutral? Is it something that will be funded in part by the city, or are we expecting it to be self-sustaining
I
financially?
think as we put the price levels, that it will be self-sustaining.
Yeah,
Because it's, the benches are a bit less than, $2,000. However, there is labor and concrete
Sure.
and forth. So the idea is that it be self-sustaining. We may use park staff that would not be included in it, but typically speaking, it should be budget neutral.
Chairperson, person.
Mhm.
If I could share that, currently it does include the labor costs, but as labor costs increase, it may not. So periodically we may want to look at these. Right now, the benches are running, every time we call for a quote, they're slightly different. So the last one we purchased was $1,300. Okay, so what would be helpful, a lot of the questions that are being asked are in the document. So maybe if you can give your presentation, it may answer these as you go through them.
Yeah, and what I was trying to do was figure out if people had specific questions about it. I think Bill has talked about the donations, but the general donation, there'll be there, we gave the opportunity for people to simply give donations to the city, which would go into essentially an unrestricted fund for the parks use. And we have added flower donations to try to begin to give different levels to the amounts of that can be given. And I think we will add in Beverly, where do you see that we need to add in that it's a one-time?
The reason I stated that is Bill asked if it was one time or
Right.
recurring. So I think at the top, we'll just somewhere in the initial introduction and on the brochure, we'll just make sure it says one time because
Okay.
all of these are one time.
Does that work for you?
Yep,
Okay,
that works for me.
okay. And so some people are interested in spring bulbs, some people are interested in native flowers, and we're doing a lot of that. And the Monarch Way Station plantings we'll be working on. So does anybody have any questions on flower donations?
Sorry, one more. I'm monopolizing. I apologize. Joe, how big of an area is that in case somebody asks? So is this like $100 and it's like 5 bulbs? Is it a 1-by-1 area? How do we?
That'll be determined by staff. There's a whole list of staff responsibilities at the end
Okay.
of the document. And
Okay.
that's what staff will do. And it'll be earmarked in, or it'll be specified in the brochure that people look through when they make their selections.
Okay.
So essentially what we're doing here is we're creating the overall policy. The implementation of it will be responsible for, the staff will be responsible for that.
That was my disconnect. I thought this was
Yeah,
everything that then
Yeah.
staff would be working off of. Okay.
yeah. So I mean, I think that it's the same way that we work. I think that the council works
Mhm.
is they delegate things to the city manager and to the department heads to put things into practice. Tree donations, same situation. Where we have general trees, we have a specific tree in a specific park. And typically, I would say, Beverly, that those would be, the specific trees would be larger trees.
Yes.
and Which is the reason for the different levels of giving. And then I think we've talked briefly about the bench donations in terms of what we're doing. They can engrave it, not engrave it, engrave it twice, whatever. But the important piece is that staff will determine how many we need in each park. And so that we don't get overloaded either on the Greenway or at Stacy. I mean, we're almost maxed out at Stacy, I would think.
Well, it varies because we have a lot of older benches. So for example, we recently took out a bench that was dilapidated and put the new donor bench in. And we do have spots identified at Stacy where we could expand, but we really encourage people to select the other parks. People are reticent to do that. However, I think with the renovations that have come, I think that will change people's minds.
Well, and I think that a lot of people do not have the view that there are other options.
Well, exactly,
So-
exactly. And as we start pushing out the new park renovations and as people start discovering the new parks, I think then that will come.
And one suggestion to staff is that as we do these things, there may be in the other parks, there may be maps that show where we think they might be.
Yes, and I think the other thing that helps is we need someone to take that initial plunge and put a bench in a park. Because the most requests we get are after someone stumbles upon a new one. So that is kind of the as soon as one goes in on the pathway or at Stacy, we get calls. So I think that, like, for example, if someone were to donate one for Villa Park, we'd probably get additional calls from Villa.
Well, and then I think also with going with the circular walkway becomes more.
Right.
I think it also would be helpful to have those numbers up front. As opposed to kind of as we go. So I don't know if that's the thought process.
It is,
But
yeah.
just so that we can say, there's 25 options at this point for benches.
Right.
So if
And-
you're number 27, you
and-
go on a wait list or.
Right, and we have that initially I have that kind of initially pinpricked on the park master plans, but until they've actually been constructed and we walk the trails, I'm hesitant to say that that's really the case, because I really want to see where they would sit, where the adjacent trees are. Because each time we put one in, we sort of have to look at that, because we don't dig in the root zones or the drip lines of the trees, or, there's certain parameters we put in there. The other thing to think about too is, I don't know if we're allowed to put them on the Greenway. So
Well,
that's
but
kind
the
of,
Lindley, when I talk about the Greenway, I'm talking about from Gilman to
right,
Lindley.
right. So, and particularly in Warson Park. So there may be opportunities there, but I have to find out with our agreement with GRD if we're allowed. I think we probably are allowed to do that because we accept it, but I'd want to verify that. Oh, yeah, no, I'm talking about,
Yeah, no,
because
no,
we're
I
gonna have this big,
understand.
so the Greenway has benches that are coming in as part of it, but they're very well spaced out, and it could be that. So like, for example, the first benches that we got on the pathway were spots that were important to people that used it. So that may grow out of the Greenway. So I just want to check with them and see if that's an option, because that would expand it too.
Well, I've observed over on the Centennial Greenway going toward Clayton, there are a couple of benches that do have plaques. So
Oh,
we
that's
ju- we-
great.
We just need to figure out who's got jurisdiction.
Right, exactly.
And I'm assuming that will come as we move to phase 2 and 3 of the
Correct,
Greenway.
correct.
Other questions on benches? I think, well, what we talked about that there's a minimum, and then what was related to a specific tree in a park. Why the $500 difference between the two? On donor recognition, one of the things that I would suggest is that we strike minimum 25 on number 1. I think we acknowledge every donation with a letter and a tax ID number.
The reason I'm hesitant for that is because sometimes people give us $1.
But it's just a letter.
And
I mean, it's just a piece of
and
paper.
I would say from a letter standpoint, if somebody gives you $1,
I'd be happy to send an email. It's just $1. It costs more in postage and the envelopes. That's my hesitancy.
Rob, could you mute, please? Thank you.
Okay.
Well, I was going to just ask, this is a little bit different than donating to a nonprofit organization as a fundraiser for the nonprofit. This is a city service, and yes, I think correspondence is absolutely important, or a value and the right and kind thing to do. But is it
Hey,
a
Don,
requirement for this activity?
Don, can you mute Rob, please? Thank you.
Okay, you can't hear me?
We heard you.
Hello?
Yeah, okay. We can still see you. I understand.
The background was louder than you.
Okay.
Okay, I will walk away. Is the thank you correspondence a critical piece to this? That, I mean, this is a service of the city. It's really not a fundraising activity or a fundraising exercise for the city. This is a service, it's a community service. I'm just wondering.
I feel very strongly that we should thank anybody who gives us money, and I would really like, I think the $25 minimum for a card, because we actually send a thank you card and the letter goes in the card. I think that's fantastic. If it's less than that, then we can send a card, we absolutely can, but we do it anyway. But if it's like less than $5, perhaps it could be an email.
Well, what we say here, acknowledge.
Right.
So can we leave that to staff to determine that level?
Oh, I see what you're saying. So it's because it doesn't say card, it just says written thank you. So that could be an email. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's fantastic. Thank
I
you.
agree with that recommendation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Okay.
I understand the staff time, but I really feel strongly that we should at least acknowledge in some way, shape or
Oh,
form.
absolutely. 100% agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I want to clarify. So, because I heard staff determines if it's 10 or 15, or is it all donations? Because that's two different things.
No, all donation will be acknowledged in writing, but some will be email and some will be a card with a thank you letter.
With the tax ID.
So you're differentiation. You're differentiating between a card and an email. That's
Correct.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
And
I
that's through
agree.
10 or 15 or
Are you
25.
okay with that?
Yes, I
Okay,
agree.
okay.
But I did hear the question if, yes, it's tax deductible, even though we're not a nonprofit, because you're just giving a cash donation.
It's absolutely. And in fact, even when people give us objects, that's also tax deductible.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Someone donated a Steinway to the new center, and that's 100% tax deductible. Yeah.
Great.
Wow.
Well, it's from 1940, but it's
Okay.
beautiful. It is.
It's okay.
Okay. Okay, so, and then the tribute card would be sent to the honoree if it's more than $25. And one-time recognition in the city newsletter for a minimum of 100, and that was put in primarily because of space in the newsletter. It's a fixed document, and so we will do it one time with that. And the donor list of $100 plus will be maintained on the website, and staff will be responsible for creating that page, as well as keeping it going. And as always, you can be anonymous if you want to give money. So any questions on donor recognition? If not, on donor levels, we arbitrarily set different levels and so forth. Does anyone have any questions about those donor level? I shouldn't say we arbitrarily set them. We recommended these levels and naming, which were native, either native plants or bugs in in our area. Right. Can, Sue,
Yes,
can you
they
see
can.
us?
Yes, they can see
Okay,
us.
okay.
So question, on
Right now I'm not. I'm only seeing the PDF,
Okay, okay, which, because it's being shared to them.
right?
I stopped sharing mine.
But it's fine.
Okay, what, your question?
so
Bill?
have,
Which one?
I thought you were sharing from the website. You're sharing from my actual document?
Okay. Okay. Magic.
And can you guys turn your mic on when you're speaking so we
Yeah.
can hear you?
We're
Couldn't everybody-
discussing the sentence that says all donations will be a one-time donation. Which is
Yeah.
not what, it's all 'cause
I think we should
I think we
leave
need-
room. We should leave room in the policy to be able to amend that as needed, I would think.
I missed that, Rob. What did you say?
It seems to me that we would want to leave room in the policy to be able to amend that as needed. To be able to go back to,
Well, the thought came up because when Bill mentioned, like with the plant, is that by 1 year or 1 season or how many plants? So it's just coming up with the semantics now so that
Right.
people understand.
Any city policy is open to, that you can bring back. I mean, anytime we have a policy.
amendment. Okay.
Yeah, and I think we should review it periodically because prices change on things. But this is not an annual drive, like, we're not gonna promote this on an annual basis with a targeted rate. This is for when people contact us, typically when someone's passed away.
Makes sense.
Typically when we get the request. So this is a way that we can help people with those requests.
We're not closing the door to people
No.
that want to simply give money to
Right,
help
Right.
beautify the park.
But say I wanted to give $1,000, I could give $250 for a general tree and
Mhm.
another $750 for
Yeah.
planting a specific tree. So I'm just trying to think when you say one-time donation, I'm trying to
Oh, I see
play
what
with
you're
the
saying.
semantics, because it sounds like, well, if you make a donation, maybe it's me, it's reading it that way. So that's kind of where I want to play with the semantics.
Okay.
What- could- could
Then-
you-
To Maxine's point, it just sounds a little too prescriptive.
Yes, I just want to play with the
Well,
words like.
do we need to say it? Or is it,
Well, could we say on flower donations, minimum one time,
One season?
one? Yeah, I mean, it gets tricky because I think also within the policy, we're not guaranteed that a tree will live or.
Well, that's what I was just saying.
and that was.
well,
gonna be-
how about this? How
Yeah.
about this? We base this on the Forest Park Forever
Mhm.
donation policy. So we'll just pull their brochure back out and see what wording they have.
Perfect.
How does that sound? So, because we're gonna bring the marketing materials back to you.
But there were several that were reviewed for this, but I think that you can just basically acknowledge the recognition is where this comes into play. So it's not necessarily even about one time. But that, all donations will be recognized. And you don't have to say it's-
Recognized and appreciated.
there will be a recognition based upon every donation.
Right, that period, right.
So
That-
I mean, because to that point, I can donate in the spring for bulbs, I can donate in the
Oh,
fall
yeah,
for a tree.
Absolutely.
So if I want my name to stay on the website and stay in the publication.
You
and I
gotta keep
giving you
giving.
money
You gotta keep
Yeah.
giving.
Every
Yeah,
time.
you
So I
do.
mean, it's
Annually, yeah.
an
Right.
exchange. So I think that would help.
So maybe we should go back to the person that asked the question, Bill. What would make sense to you? Because you're the person that asked it. So where would you recommend?
So again, just looking at it for the first time today, I would think everything but flowers would be like a one-time donation. So I'm donating a tree. That makes sense. I would expect that the tree would be there the life of the tree. Where flowers, I would think we could say these are, it's just for 1 year. If you'd like to continue supporting flowers, then, in the spring or the fall, then it's an additional amount because the flowers seem harder to judge. And that's why I was asking about the square foot. I donated, if I donate and I want to show it, I can, here's my bench, here's the tree.
But you're
Oh,
not gonna-
I can't,
So I think for clarification, you won't be able to say, here's the tree. It's just gonna be a tree
But
that
if I-
somebody's planted somewhere.
if I say a
there's
specific
no
tree,
plaque.
specific part.
Yeah, you can say an oak
You could
tree
probably
in
figure
Stacy
it out.
Park.
You
but
could
it's
figure it
not
out,
gonna
but we're
necessarily
not
be-
gonna necessarily, you
Well,
can maybe
what-
be there when it's planted,
There
but there will be
not
no
a
plaque.
marker on the tree.
Agreed,
Right.
but if I'm like, I'll just say it bluntly, people are vain. And I'm coming more from like donations to not-for-profits than this. But people like recognition, which is good, we're giving that, but they're gonna wanna, if somebody donates a bench, they're gonna wanna be able to go for a walk and say, this is the bench that I paid for, whether there's a block there or a marker or not. That they know this is a tree that I paid for. Doesn't need to be a marker, they just need to know. Here's the tree. Flowers seem harder for somebody to do that. So say, we're having an area and then that's a reoccurring, $100 if you want to support flowers. To me seems more within the flow of the lives of the items.
But I think it's not, the only thing that you would be able to point to would be the bench. And that's why it costs $2,000. So everything else is more fluid, on purpose.
Okay.
For staff to maintain, for, in case it dies,
Mhm.
once we plant it. And even the flowers, I could see Olivet and Bloom, wanting to donate to the flowers. But it's still just that one-time donation. So it's not anything that you can go point to. You can say, I support the parks.
Mhm.
And this is my park and I believe in this park. So my tree, I buy trees in this park and I bought all those, I bought 5 trees. I don't know, you'll see the smaller ones, but there's nothing that within this, when we looked at it for that purpose, that was intentional to not be able to say, oh, this is my tree, because that's what people, you're correct, that's what they're looking for. But that's not what this program is, because it's more about just supporting the things that go into the park. Without it becoming, this is my park, because I bought those flowers, I bought those trees, I got the bench, those kind of things.
That makes sense.
And it's more equitable as well. So the levels allow for more people to be able to give and donate, outside of just the bench.
And then one more question on the donor
Sure.
level. Sorry, I'm asking.
Go ahead.
No, you're fine.
And again, I'm coming from a non-for-profit donation, so that probably where this is coming from. Could we have like I'm gonna call it a kid level? Where, and this is, we got the milkweed 100 to 249, the $1 to 99. So if kids want to do something or a school, they can still, Mrs. Hanson's first grade class. So they can still get that recognition.
And that would come under the general donation. But we
Yes.
would have a donor level.
Which we don't have right now. Right now, the
Right.
donor level starts at 100. Or just make milkweed $1 to 249. One or the other.
Any other reaction to that?
Either lower it or just create a level below it. What's a seedling? For that,
Yeah, I like that actually, because if we're acknowledging $1.
Yeah.
Then there should be a level for it. I don't know if it's milkweed or what we would call it. Seedling, I like that.
These donor levels for the website?
Yes.
Okay. Would, if there was a school group or something? I'm just concerned, like, when people like come in to pay for a program and they don't have the exact change and they say, oh, just keep that dollar or put it towards the parks, or would that person go under seedlings, and is that something they then have to put on there? I'm just posing the question.
Well, they would get their email,
Right.
but that would be it.
But I don't know if they're not.
But if,
necess-
but if the third grade class at Old Bonham, you know, raised $88 and they wanted, you know, to do something. I would think that maybe they'd have like a little box or something. I mean, we could do something special for like.
But what it could also be a senior on fixed income that wants to
Right.
just give their $50.
That's true.
So I mean, I think that
That's true.
that, you know, is
That's-
just as valid as a class.
Agreed.
So I think that having just a baseline.
And I was just trying, I was being your devil's advocate.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
Well, you know, if someone does give $1 that they had left over from change at the front counter, well, it's very simple for us to send them an email.
yeah,
So
and that's all
absolutely.
they would receive in this case.
Right. Because if someone repeatedly gives $1 every time they come once a week, that's $52 by the end of the year. Then that, you know, and the tax ID is on that email. It's just, and our system's set up, we can do an automatic email. Well, it's not set up yet, but it will be. Do an automatic email anytime that donation button is used, they'll get it.
And-
So, yeah, we can do that.
And in the city newsletter, only the $100, only the milkweed and above would.
Well, to Keisha's point, if a senior did, I mean, maybe we should do,
Uh,
maybe, like maybe $20 enough in the city newsletter?
I would say, let's see how it goes. Okay. And then we can come back and revisit, as opposed to trying to come up with every nuanced. But I do think, I mean, if a class at Old Bonham gives $88, that's almost a separate story in the newsletter.
True.
So, because, I mean, essentially what you're trying to do here is to create interest and get people to support the parks outside of their taxes. So if it's agreeable with folks, I think if we keep that lower level, now, one of the things is throughout this conversation, that if we go back to donor recognition, why don't we take out the word written in number 1? Just say thank you acknowledgement with a tax ID number, and that gives it complete.
Okay, well, you're never gonna.
Some people don't
Second.
view emails as written.
Second that.
But just take out the word written under number 1. And that way, then it can become policy. Make sense, Beverly? So as we move along, where this whole thing started was with all the legacy memorials in the parks, because over the years, it has evolved, shall we say, to be charitable. That when we got into the renovations, we were pulling a lot of the plaques and moving things around. And so there are some legacy memorials, and Ed and I think Sue and maybe some other folks went through the parks,
Ed and Sue.
Ed and Sue, and laboriously went through, took pictures. We pulled plaques where we could. There's a catalog of those. And so what we are recommending is that we retain the plaques. We contact any known people that were associated with that memorial, asking them if they want it. And then we would dispose of those after a year. And we would also put that information on the website with the picture of the memorial at that point. But we're trying to phase from that program into the new one, which is not as specific for specific items. Thoughts?
May I add a comment on that? Another driver that's important for particularly for Bill, because he wasn't here when we started this. The other issue we have with a lot of the memorials is that they disintegrated and they weren't the appropriate ones for the spaces. And that's kind of where this grew out of. And this is one of the reasons that we're not putting plaques on things, except for the benches, because when the bench is done, the plaque doesn't remain. So right now we have a lot of brass plaques, but the bench they were on disintegrated. And the family didn't give money perpetually to replace that bench. So now what do we do with this brass plaque? The other thing that happened is memorials were put on giant boulders and they are now completely illegible. So we can't even read the plaque, but the boulder is still there with the plaque on it. So there's one, the prime one is right on the corner of Bonham Estates and Old Bonham. As you come into Stacy Park, there's some yew bushes and a big boulder there. And we aren't really sure who it is. So that this new memorial program sort of gets away from that so that we don't have to deal with those types of issues moving forward, because it can make the park very cluttered and it was very haphazard. So what we're setting up, going back to the parks master plan, is having something that's sustainable. So it's sustainable over time. And now when we accept a donation, we have a framework, because the other thing that happened is we were gifted the pond at Stacy and the pump, but the money that was gifted to do that project never covered the cost of the project. And now we've spent tens of thousands of dollars to maintain it or repair it, when we should have been able to say no, and we don't want it. So this is really helping us with that, so that we can have a mechanism to say no. We can't sustain it over time. We really appreciate the gesture, but here are other avenues for you.
On that note, two things. I'm assuming in the official policy, it'll say that we have the ability, the city has the ability to not accept okay, because it didn't say that here, so that would.
It doesn't say it here. And of course, if someone wants to do something really big, we kick it to the council.
Yeah.
So we don't have to worry about that. But what we will say absolutely is that this will not be replaced. The tree will not be replaced if it dies. The bench, when it's done, and there's a finite level. So those are all the things we've learned. Just like we've learned there's specific language that says this bench will not be painted nor varnished. And this is what will look like in a year's time. So, we did the very first one we did, that was our trial. That was, we were testing it out. Will this model work? And we learned that very quickly. So anyway, I just want to make sure you had that background to understand how we got what we got.
Thank you.
Okay, and then I think the last one is we would return the plaque or whatever it is to the family if it's feasible. And the reason we say if it's feasible, if it's a boulder, we're not going to ship it to them. They can pick it up, but it's not going to go back. So are there other questions about the legacy programs? Sue, I noticed you went off mute. Do you have any comments? Because I know
No.
you did a great deal of work with this.
No, I'm good.
Okay. Okay, and then we delineate, and I think it's what we could think of in terms of what staff responsibilities would be for the setting this program in motion. But I would also think that the staff, if there was some ambiguity or if there's a question that would come up, they would come back to the commission. But generally speaking, we need to let staff do what staff does and put together the process. So are there other questions about this, about the memorial program? My suggestion is that we would move this forward to the council and maybe not put it into what we're doing, but to review it on an annual or or every other year or something like that to see how it's working. And the report of that could also be part of the staff of the director's report. What have we gotten in the last month or whatever? So
Do we need a motion? to
what I'm
move-
trying to take this to the parks. Do I hear a motion that we accept this with the modifications as discussed here to present to council for final approval?
Yeah, I make a motion to move the program forward as with the modifications made on tonight to the council for final approval.
I second
Yes.
that.
Harris, second. Okay, Yeah. I will call for the vote. Commissioner Lee,
Yes,
Commissioner Rich,
Yes,
Commissioner Hanson.
Yes.
I believe that Commissioner Houseman has left, and I will vote yes.
so that's 4-0.
So that's 4-0, and that covers it. So this will be presented. We'll ask Maxine to move this on toward, I don't know whether it's Maxine or whether it's Beverly that runs it to council.
I'll prepare the staff report for
Okay.
council.
Staff report. Okay.
We're gonna shoot for Tuesday night. The deadline's tomorrow.
Okay, so why don't we move back to the agenda and ask for the director's report? Beverly? I think there's a lot going on as I.
Yes, so since you didn't have your September meeting, we have the August one in here, so very quickly. We have, since this report, we now have over 625 kids playing soccer, which is fantastic. There's a summer camp recap in here, so you can see some great photos of the different camps that we had. Each month you've had a camp update over the summer. This focused on contract camps and municipals, which is the special camp that it introduces children to city services. And you can see all sorts of fun things they did there. And then scrolling down, we had Care Camp again this year. We had Mad Science. And then we had in the summer, we had a star party at Warson Park, and there's a beautiful picture there taken by, I believe, Jim, did you take that picture?
No,
Jim, you
I
took
think-
the top one.
I think Keisha took that one. Oh, you mean the picture of the?
Yeah. If you scroll down the picture of the moon, did you take the
Yeah.
picture of the moon?
Yeah, there were several people that were doing it. I don't know which one that is. but-
Yeah, I think that's a Jim Person photo. So it's beautiful. Yeah, and we saw the rings of Saturn again, which is always a
Mhm.
thrill. We had our first utility assistance program, and for the very first time we did it, it was amazing. We had, does it say in here? Oh, this was advertising that we had it. We had over 30 people come. And a majority of them were all vet residents. Yeah, that's the number, right, Don? 30, 20, something like that. Yeah, I think it was over 30. Okay. Then we have a park update. If you just want to scroll down. They've been doing a lot of continuing the habitat restoration and path work. This is Brian working at Stacy Park. We put a ceiling in at Irvside. This was all work, and this is the power pole. This project took on a life of its own. Don was in charge of this. It took forever. There was a temporary pole at Irvside Park that we inherited from, I guess, the previous regime. And once the honeysuckle was cleared away, we're like, oh my gosh, there's a temporary power pole out here. So this was a huge project that Don undertook. If we knew how much it would cost or what was involved, we might not have ever done it. So maybe that's why it was a temporary pole for so long. And then we had, there's just some marketing materials in here. So that takes
Well,
us,
One thing about staff, in terms of recovery from the storms, they did a lot. My understanding is they did a lot of work.
they absolutely did. They
I
absolutely
mean,
did with
there
the
was-
flooding and
Because
everything.
when I saw the trail restoration and some of that,
Yeah, they really did. They did a marvelous job. Okay, so that takes us through, and here's October. So youth sports, here we go. We have 625 players. We had the great Olivet cleanout last week, and it was amazing. We don't have the stats yet from the e-waste. As soon as we get those, I'll share those with you. But we brought in 5,800 tons of paper, which diverted it from the landfill, and the company that does this for us provided these stats, which is amazing. That's 49 mature trees that were saved, 1,300 gallons of oil, 20,000 gallons of water, and 70 gallons of gasoline. And then saved 11,890 kilowatts of electricity. So that is phenomenal. So-
Is that something that can be reported in the Olivet newsletter as well?
Oh, it can
Okay.
be. We'll wait till we get all the.
Yeah, I
the
mean, you want
e-waste
all of
stats.
it, but
Yeah, yeah.
I'm thinking it's interesting because as you get impact.
Right. And yeah, and then the electronics, they had
Oh,
a ton of cars. So
I think he just got the numbers today.
oh, I haven't received them yet. Okay. Youth sports final day for soccer is coming up. Basketball registration is already open, and as of the 14th, we already had 100 kids in there. And then they're gonna do games starting in January. But the big news is that for the first time in anyone's memory, we are going to have games in Reed, Conway, and Old Bonham. So in the past, we've only been able to rent Spady from the school district. So this year we're getting 3 schools, which is phenomenal. We're also going to be using Hillcrest. So we're very, very appreciative for the Ladue
Does
School
that have,
District.
does
doing
that
this.
have any bearing with one of our commissioners?
I'm hoping that it's going to continue.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Thank you so
Um,
much. Keisha.
Yes, thank you. I'm hoping that that we take good care and that they allow us to come back. in
So the
future years.
gyms are gonna be amazing too. I think that the gym at Old Bonham itself is superb. So I think that the work that the school district is doing to install new storm shelters and the upgrade the gyms to high school regulation size
Mhm,
will be welcome addition.
Thank you.
absolutely. Yes,
Well, Hillcrest is not a.
not
a
Spady.
Ladue,
In the
but-
past, we've only used Spady. They've only been able to get into Spady. We were not allowed to use the other ones. So it's wonderful. Okay, Harvest Festival, as you all know, is moving to Stacy Park from the community center, and it's going to be magical. They're going to put up lights in the new pavilion. Our Edison bulb lights are going to hang, and that's going to be gorgeous. And then they're going to have lights in the trees and the not so spooky trails coming back. So I would love to have you all there helping out. We'd love to see you.
I will preempt you. Whoever can be there to volunteer, and what time do we need to be there on Saturday?
6:30.
6:30? Okay, is that when it starts, or do you?
No,
need
it
the
starts at
volunteers?
7.
Okay.
Starts at 7.
6:30.
That
if
way you can have an
make it.
orientation.
And costumes are encouraged.
Costumes are
You can come as
encouraged.
a commissioner.
The
Yes.
commish.
Yeah. So we participated in the National Parks and Recreation Association Bio Blitz again this year for the second time. And we won the grand prize of $1,000 donation. So we're going to be putting that towards seeds and plugs of our native plants. So Brian is thrilled. That's very exciting. And we had over 286 observations. So that's wonderful. Just a reminder, our classes are all here. You probably saw classes when you came in tonight in the community rooms. Staff are moving over beginning the 28th. Our office will be closed from the 28th to the 1st. Then the parks crew is starting all kinds of work of their fall and winter work. So they've been going to training, chainsaw training, which I understand Commissioner Chairperson came to.
And I will no longer use a chainsaw.
This is the time of year where they start pruning. We took down 2 trees this week that were dead at Stacy. We're going to take down a couple more. But we also was the street, then in the winter time, when the oaks are dormant, we'll do a lot of pruning on the oaks. And then they've had training this week for snow and ice removal. And then there's a winter event planning meeting that the park crew lead's going to go to with Dawn coming up. That's pretty exciting. And then we're closing all the restrooms. So park restrooms all closed by November 1st. Remember, our park restrooms are not heated. So all the drinking fountains and the restrooms in all the parks will be closed. With the exception of Stacy. Stacy stays open year round, and the new drinking fountains on the wall outside the restroom at Stacy are now heated from from the backside. So for the first time ever, we'll have water year round in Stacy, which is very exciting.
Are some
Then-
of those bottle fillers?
We have a
Yeah.
new bottle filler coming at Irvside. And then there'll be a new bottle filler coming to Indian Meadows with the Greenway. They're funding that one. And then also they're funding one at Warson as well.
But not at Stacy.
Stacy doesn't have one yet. It's a vision item for us.
Okay.
We chose to keep the existing one there, but eventually that one will be replaced. Yeah. Following Leonard Perry's retirement on September 30th, we did an internal recruitment citywide for employees. Merle Brown applied and he was promoted to equipment operator 2 and park crew lead. His first day was Monday, October 3rd. Merle's been with the city 30 years as of today. So the staff threw him a smoothie party at the end of the day. That's his all-time favorite treat. It was wonderful. Merle started with the city as an animal control officer and then transferred to Public Works and then to Parks. And we are very lucky to have him. He's fantastic. And then Cody was hired as the new full-time equipment operator 1 to replace Merle as he was promoted. And Cody was with us last summer. He was our horticultural assistant and he then went to work for a big lumber operator. So he got his CDL. So he's come back full-time with us and we're very excited. So we advertise that on, on Indeed and on the city website and he applied. So we're thrilled. Weed Warrior dates coming up. Notice we're next 2 are on the pathway, which is very exciting. And then you scroll down and I just have some images in here. This is the posting from NRPA on Facebook about our award. And you can see we're in good company there, Bowling Green Parks and Recreation in Harrisonburg. And then they had other winners too. And then as you scroll down, here's the Harvest Festival information. And then scrolling further, we've got the turkey trot info in here. This year, for the first time, there's going to be some children's award prize levels. In the past, we always had a band of young people. They're just a huge age band in there, and parents really asked, could we kind of drill down a little bit in there? So we're introducing that this year, and there's also going to be the Founders Cup, which is a race within a race of high school students and their cross-country teams. So Ladue signed up, I think U City and I think Clayton. I think those are the 3 that are in so far and they're advertising for more to come in. So that's exciting. Got Kids Night Out coming here on December 9th. And then we've got another Star Party on November 19th. And what's great about having star parties in the winter is you get incredibly better visibility when the air is cold. So won't be too cold in November, but it'll be great. And that I believe is our last. Oh, no, we got another one. Oh, nope, that's it. That's all we got.
Thank you.
And
so-
then I'm going to turn over to Dawn. Dawn's going to very quickly share with you what's going on as we decommission the community center.
Okay. Get this out of the way so I can. Yeah, I know it was gonna time. So we have been decommissioning things and surplus of things that are not going to be needed in the new building. And in doing so, have made some pennies. Currently, right now, we are sitting at $3,500 in auction items sold. And we have still to close currently, there's $65 still out there. And this is all from round 1. Tuesday night at the council meeting, I'll be asking for round 2 of surplus items to go up. And hopefully they say yes, and then I'll get those up. The biggest ticket item was the Kawasaki mule, which, if you can see there, was at $1,700 and it received 33 bids. So
Important to note that it was advertised that it does not run.
it does not run. And it started at $500 and it jumped to that. So
What is a Kawasaki?
It's a UTV vehicle that the Parks crew used periodically throughout the summer months that they drug the field with it. They might have put brush in the back of it. It's just a smaller, like a gator or a or
Okay.
something like that.
Four-wheel
Okay.
drive golf cart.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you.
Four-wheel drive golf cart. Any questions on anything?
Can we get a list of what's still left, what's available? And I mean, like emails.
How do we get to this site?
So the Gov Deals is a website that is it's for municipalities and government centers that we can sell on. And all the bidders are backed and 100% vetted that if they don't come through on their end and I put in a complaint, their email is flagged and they cannot put in another account. So it'll strip their account from them.
So you just go to dovedeals.com and then you can search all of it to find our page. You can also search just St. Louis because many of the cities around here do it. You can also, everything is by category. So there are lots of agencies across the US that use this and some will actually ship the items. For some reason, there's a lot of jewelry that comes out of the desert Southwest. It's been a lot of art comes out of Denver. It's really weird. You can get some cool stuff.
The person who bought the propane buffer was from Lee Summit, Missouri, and picked it up yesterday morning at 9 o'clock. Drove in to pick it up at 9 o'clock and has already used it.
It doesn't look like the HVAC units are going very fast.
No, they won't, but we have a plan for that.
Okay.
Do the HVAC units have to be, the person who bids it, do they have to remove them?
Yep.
Mhm.
They have to decommission them, decharge them, and hire the crane to remove them.
But the reason we do this is because we're a public agency and we spent money with taxpayer dollars. So that's why we have to do this. So if they don't sell, then we can dispose of them in another way. But first we have to try and get money for them.
Like there's the upright piano that was trying to be sold for $1 and nobody bought it.
Shocking.
But we have then stumbled upon somebody and a moving company, a piano moving company that might be able to help us get rid of it. That way it doesn't go into landfill.
Good.
Yeah, so the process is Dawn takes a report to the council and the council approves us disposing of it.
Okay. And is this the sum total of what's going on? Or I know we're in the process of doing a lot of work over there. Do we see this coming in 2, 3, 4 waves or what?
We know some things we cannot remove from the building until we're out. So there's a third wave that will probably be coming.
Okay, but 3. Okay.
But as we get to moving and cleaning out stuff and be like, okay, well, we run out of storage room. Okay, well, let's surplus that and go that direction if we can.
Okay.
We have to be careful too, because the building, the demo company that's, the general contractors demoing it, there are items that they anticipate as part of their bid. So, it's like, for example, we can't sell the copper. There's things we can't touch because because the demo company gets that, their price to demo is cheaper.
Right.
Unfortunately, not the case with the asbestos.
Right. Oh, we could sell that to them cheap. Okay, any questions of Don? None? Maxine, can you give us a city council report, please?
You can't hear me if I don't use my mic. It's just been a busy time and an exciting time. We've had some ribbon cuttings. The Oliver opened, we did their ribbon cutting, and I said at a council meeting, if you're inside the Oliver and in their courtyard area in the interim between the two buildings, you don't think you're in the middle of Olivet or on Olive Street Road there. It is just absolutely gorgeous. But they opened, this is mind-boggling. They opened with 70% occupancy. And they had in one day, they moved 45 people in. I don't know how you did that. I was just, helping my daughter move recently in New York, and just getting a loading dock for the day was an experience. But, so, so, so that was great. And then we, if you see Plant Haven, it's looking sharp. They're getting ready for getting their occupancy. They've applied for their occupancy, and they're hoping to be open soon, and they've got a beautiful website up and going. And everywhere I go, people are like, wow, Olive is moving and a grooving, and it's a real happening, and it is, and it's exciting. And I noticed, so that's one piece, is that the Parks Commission is blowing it out of the water. I have to say, and I'm not partial, but if you haven't had a chance to drive through it and see all the different parks and the equipment coming in, and go over by Indian Meadows Park and just to see the cement and everything, it's just beautiful. Each individual park, and different places, each park's at a different place right now. So it's really cool to see that. We are also, the commission has, the council has hired a company that we're going to be working with to, one of our goals for this past year is, and moving into this year, and I really wanted to see it happen, is we are working with Armanio to, for a DEI evaluation and study. And they're going to work with the council as the first step to kind of get an idea of what kind of goals we need to set. They're gathering information at this point, and we'll be meeting with them after the new year. So that first we're looking at council goals with them and what we need, and then what we have in place with our employees, and then with our commissions, and with our residents, and where do we want to take this in the years to come. This isn't this is a first step of many steps. And it's just an exciting program to be working with. And this group that we're
Excuse me,
working with is
DEI, I'm not familiar with that.
diversity, equity, and
Okay.
inclusion.
Okay.
And the what's interesting is this company that we've chosen to work with is right here in on Olive Street Road. They're in City Place in Creve Coeur. So so that's a good exciting thing going on. And this morning I had the pleasure of seeing our own Keisha Lee in action. I attended the inaugural, they were starting a legislative board, advisory board, and it was really fascinating because it wasn't just about bringing legislators together, but it's a parent body is going to be the actual advisory board and look at what policies and what issues are going on in the community and in the state of Missouri that they want to educate the students on and have parents help advocate for, that will benefit the schools and the school district. And with that said, that's a perfect segue in that next month on November 9th, my coffee with the mayor will be none other than Keisha Lee, the president of Ladue School Board. And last month I had Bruce McGregor, and that was a really great discussion and a great morning. And I'm looking forward to the one with Keisha. And if you're ever in a situation where you can't join us, you can always watch them online. No, I don't like looking at myself online, but a lot of people are like that. So,
And those are recorded too.
yes. And the strategic plan is at a starting position. There is a group of people who are working. It's through PCDC, but it's working with Carlos, and there's representatives from each of the commissions, as well as from all the different quadrants in Olivet. And they've had their initial meetings, and they are getting ready to actually interview some different companies that have sent in their their RFPs.
RFQs.
RFQs, they're
Yeah.
RFQs. I just got a mental block. So that's gotten off. They've had their first meeting as well, and they are going to be interviewing 3 different companies. So we're moving forward in a lot of directions. So that's it for now.
Any questions of Maxine?
I have one, and it's related to the wayfinding signage that we approved way a couple years ago, including the big sign that says Olivet that will be going in at the highway. What's the timeline for that?
That would be a Beverly question.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry.
That's no
but-
No, I
problem.
know that
So,
we approved it and it
Yeah,
went to council.
we
so-
absolutely did. We absolutely did. So the first phase of that will be included with the Prop C. So we have a little bit of money in Prop C for the park signs, and then we have the larger signs from the city is funded through the capital project. It's going to be bid along with the monument sign for the new community center, because when we did the wayfinding, there was no community center on the horizon, so it wasn't included in the package. So it's going to be bid out as an RFP and it'll be just built to the specs that were approved by the commission and the council. And then there'll be a design build component of it for the monument sign for the new community center based on those same guidelines. And that will be released probably in the next couple of weeks. And then it'll be probably installed around the same time that in the spring when the community center is being open.
I'm just as anxious as you because I'd like that differentiation on Olive, that kind of.
Yeah.
Especially with everything that's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
in
They
the
are-
new city.
They are
Right.
very sad. The ones that are out there too are sad.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Great
because
question.
yes.
Yeah.
I had just been a part of a conversation about the signage for the new building, but I didn't have all the answers that Beth had. So
And-
thank you.
And that is in the capital budget.
Yes.
That is in the current capital budget, the wayfinding.
Yes,
sign.
it's phased because the original the whole wayfinding plan with all of the
Right.
signs was over $1 million. So we're gonna phase it in and things have changed since then. So a lot of the smaller signs we may not do, but it really, we'll phase it in a thoughtful way.
But
Okay,
like
this
in the-
money has been
yeah.
set aside.
Absolutely.
okay,
For the monuments that you were coming into the city, but probably maybe not all the secondary, really depends.
Yeah.
Especially because our cost model was built before the pandemic, so we don't know what the impacts are gonna be until we actually go out with the RFP.
so essentially the RFP will be the two monument signs on either side on Olive plus the monument sign at. the community center.
I can't speak to that because I
Okay.
have not seen the document yet.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's,
Bev,
Yes,
that will include the park signs?
the park signs will be in the same RFP. They're just funded through Prop C, not through the capital. But
Okay.
it will not include the message board. The message board is a separate capital project. And I think 2 years out, I think for the redesign of the whole corner of Old Bonham and all, that's a
Okay.
separate project.
Right.
Yeah, that thing's
Okay.
very pricey, so that's why.
But we will have wayfinding signs with the park signs to
Yes,
get
we
you
will
to
have-
the new
yes.
park.
We will have new park signs, absolutely, yes.
it will not be Park Service kinds of routed. Okay, and, okay, Beverly or whomever, as far as update on Prop
You
C,
just
where,
turned us all off.
where do we stand?
Oh, there you go.
Okay. I've got to make sure that, first off, since.
Can you see this? See it? Can't hear you. You're on mute.
I lost the audio and then I lost part of the presentation.
You're able to see this picture of the community center.
For some reason, I'm getting music in the background.
Can you run that back? Could you
Oh,
see?
there you go.
Okay.
You were there last night.
So that's through today,
That's through
yesterday. Great.
Through yesterday.
And I think
Yeah.
we owe Don a thanks, or do they just do this? I understood that there were some problems with getting all the video going. No,
That video is from the contractor.
great, okay,
Not
that's
me.
wonderful.
Can't take credit.
What was
Okay.
the frequency of the pictures? Was that once a day for the
Yes,
stop?
I think it's once a day. I'm not sure. But because the same camera is also their security camera, so I don't know how it all works.
Great.
It might be a couple times a day. Yeah, especially when you see the crane move. Yeah, so
So that video, just FYI, is not showing on the Zoom presentation.
you didn't see the video at all, Sue?
No, zero.
Sorry. Oh.
No,
there-
I'm just telling you, because of the recording, probably won't have it.
Oh, that's a
Are
bummer.
you showing your screen or your window?
You see now, Sue?
Your back on?
I see your file explorer window is all I've seen the whole time.
Oh, for goodness sakes, that's probably my bad. Hang on.
So that's
Zoom-
why I was saying it kept going to weird music, but no presentation.
We can reenact it. We could do stop motion in the room, Sue, and you can watch us.
Hang on.
It's fine. I'm sure I can find it.
Got the gist. Here's the problem. I have to open
Don't
it
worry about it.
and then share it.
Because Bev, this is the same thing they posted online, right? Hey, Bev, don't worry about it, especially if it's the same thing that's been posted. I've seen it.
How about now, Sue?
Yeah, now it's showing.
Because this way it's in. All right, so we're back to, Dawn, I thought I turned my share off. Did I turn my share off?
Why does it say St. Peter's,
Yes.
Missouri? Is that where the
That's where the
business is?
company.
That's where,
Yeah,
right,
the company
right,
is
so-
located.
Yes, you're not sharing any.
Oh, I don't want to share. I'm not sharing now, right? Okay.
Correct.
So you have,
there we go.
so yes, we have the project dashboard and this is for August and I think I got the September's in time for today's meeting, but so you'll probably have two on next month. But so the pictures in here are
Somebody make
quite
it bigger.
dated.
Sorry.
Full screen.
Yes. How is that?
You shared it again.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
said, don't share. I saw.
Yeah, okay, now.
You stop sharing on Zoom. You are sharing to the dais. Do you not want to share to the dais?
How do I get out of it?
I'll
How about I
take it.
just leave Zoom?
No, you're gonna, you,
I'll take it. I'll take it. I've
Okay.
got
You
control.
take it.
got it,
And
okay.
back to
Sue, you're
downhill.
still there? Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I'm making this so difficult.
Oh, no.
You're not. We want it to be right. Okay, so this is as of August 9th. So as we go through these, the pictures are very dated. But as Maxine said, I strongly encourage you to go out and see Indian Meadows Park because it is done and kids are playing on it. The splash pad is not open and it will not open until next year. I shouldn't say it's done. It's like 90% done. We still have to attach the water. And that is we are waiting for Missouri American Water.
With these parks as they open, is there a plan to have some kind of official opening of each park or what? As they're coming into,
Yes, we'd like to do that. We don't, because they're all coming at a different time and they're all different neighborhoods and not all the components are ready.
right,
You know, I've talked to the internal design team about, what could we do? So what we'd like to do is do a small event at each park. So for example, there are plans to do a dog specific event that we started, that we had on the books before the pandemic. So in the spring, that's a natural to do that at Irvside, and that could be what celebrates Irvside. Stacy Park, the Turkey Trot, we figure that's kind of like the big unveiling, because that's a huge event, the biggest event of the year in the park. Indian Meadows, we're really thinking, let's do something soon. The water can't be on because of the time of year, but we could do something. So we're really wondering what would be appropriate out there. And then Villa, we don't know yet. And that's as far as we've gone. We've had a casual conversation with the design team. So any ideas from you are most welcome, but we want to do things that are cheap and cheerful. We can't spend a lot of money, but
Right.
we can absolutely do something.
Would that be something that Kiana could work from the city standpoint, from marketing?
Well,
and-
Well, yeah, we have to have an event first. She's communications, but the event planning comes from.
From the parks. Okay.
Right, but I would love to have input from commissioners because, quite frankly, I had grandiose plans when this project started, and now, the fatigue of the project is,
Right.
it's tough. It's tough.
Well, I'm thinking if we can have some kind of celebratory, something, even though we're not finished with everything, because I'm sure we'll have something with the community center.
Mhm.
I think we need to.
Right, when the community center is don't even want to think about that. That we're already talking about doing a slow roll, soft openings in a series of events rather than a big giant shebang. But the parks, I'd like to do something like Indian Meadows right now. I'd like to do something in the next, before Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
something.
Well, and I'm thinking, I mean, if council can go to Oliver for a ribbon cutting, we should be able to get some.
Well, yes,
something going.
absolutely. We could do ribbon cutting, but we want it to be a little bit more than that and invite
Right.
people there. There has to be something, basic party. You got to have something to eat, something to drink, something to do. Yeah.
Is there? I know you're in the Indian Meadows area. Is there any event that they do? Okay. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, that's
No,
that's the problem. It's cold.
Yeah, it's
And
cold.
that is the problem. That's on the 30th. So it's a bit short for us to get the word out. But I do, because I want to make sure that when we do these, that everyone, I want to make sure. Yeah. Oh, I was going to say that my concern is these parks are for everyone, and I don't want, when we do it at a neighborhood park, I want to make sure that there are people there from outside the neighborhood too, because that was one of the whole points of this, was to get people in all of it to understand they have a park system, that we have more than Stacy. And, when we learned early in the Parks Master Plan process that no one knew we had 5 parks, no one knew where the parks were. So here we are celebrating these parks. I really want to make sure that that message gets out. So we do need to have, a lead time that would allow us to get the word out appropriately.
Yeah, but I would encourage staff to look at this as a higher priority item so that we can,
Right.
as part of the overall.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've enlisted the city manager in this discussion, and I also want everyone to understand that we are moving our whole
No, I
operation. We are unhoused and a lot of our stuff is in storage. So it is a challenging time, and the staff, I'm trying to make sure they aren't fatigued.
Okay.
It is, it's exciting times, but it's also very stressful times. So I know that sounds like a cop out, but we will do something.
Okay.
I just want to say, I think that we cannot, we have to be intentional
Yes.
with everything that has gone on, especially with Indian Meadows Park. To have it be done and we done or said nothing,
Mhm.
just, it feels slighted.
Right. But it's not, but yeah, and it's not,
I do need it,
Yeah.
it needs to be properly planned, but
Right.
I think we need to be intentional when we know these things are coming, and I get the fatigue of everybody, I do.
Mhm.
But I think that when we know that it's gonna be done and it's done, and then we we have nothing.
Well, it's not
and there's
done.
nothing
It's not
community-
done.
I mean, well, the water's not hooked up.
The
but
water's not hooked up.
You
The,
just said 95%.
we can't have, yeah, but we can't have anybody on the grass planted areas. We're struggling with that in all the parks. We have signs out. Indian Meadows signs are going out in the next couple days. People don't understand they can't walk on baby plants. And so that's another concern. Bringing Big people, numbers of
Oh,
people.
my
to the
God.
parks. So people are even falling in because it's dangerous to walk. There is mesh in there. So it's tough because I don't want kids playing on that park, but
But-
um,
But I think Keisha's point is well taken.
Yeah.
and that we need to celebrate these things.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
acknowledge maybe the 5 park piece of this comes more with the community center as we begin to do that. But as each one opens, I think that we need to have some kind of a minor celebration.
Right.
Whether.
I totally agree. The park is not finished.
No, I
It's not
understand.
finished. Yeah.
But it's open. You mentioned
The
that.
kids can play on the playground, but they can't go in the planted areas.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard. And we took down the fencing because kids were climbing the fencing. So and we're not there to say, don't climb on this. So
So then but there's also nobody there to say, don't step on these baby plants. If
no,
what-
and that's why we're
if
putting
that's what we
fencing
were
out.
trying to protect.
Yeah, we're putting
So, I
fencing out
mean-
for so the contractor took their fencing down yesterday and we were not prepared for that. Yeah. We're putting up the bamboo stakes with string and I don't have the crew to do it.
Okay.
Right now.
But my question is, if fencing's going back up, is it that you want people off the playground and that was
They
just
can,
like a
no, they
tease,
can,
or
they can be on the playground. They can't be on those, those play mounds and the, with the climbing logs. And the climbing logs are very attractive. So.
So, but from a
That's a problem.
park opening, we've got Indian Meadows will be partially complete. Stacy is complete.
Stacy's not
No, it's
complete.
not.
No.
No.
Stacy-
Nothing's complete.
Nothing's complete.
Okay,
And the turkey trot isn't an official ribbon cutting or kickoff. I mean, we haven't said that in any of. the
No, we
literature.
haven't. We haven't. We had a preliminary conversation where we tried to figure out what we would do. It was a very basic conversation. It's the first conversation we had. I didn't want to say we aren't planning anything. I just wanted to share the
Okay.
process and maybe it was premature for me to say that, but the parks are not done. They're not done.
oh, no, I understand that, but I guess as we begin to,
I probably overshared from the backside and I apologize.
no, that's
for
fine,
that.
okay.
Is it fair to say we've had soft opening with the parks, but they're
Not
really not there and even
Not
functioning?
yet.
Not yet.
We've sort of, well, you could say Stacy's a soft opening because we had to open the restrooms. for
We have
soccer.
to open Stacy because we have to use it Saturday night, but we're not even, not everything is even,
Not everything's,
there's
yeah.
still a lot of fencing around.
There's still, there's gates that haven't gone in.
Yeah.
There's all
I
sorts of
wouldn't call
things.
anything a soft
Okay.
opening yet.
So I think though, as we move into spring and we get to some
Yeah.
finalization of these projects, that we need to start considering what those celebrations will be.
Right,
Okay,
absolutely.
yeah.
And there's a
Point-
city
yeah,
newsletter.
point well taken.
There's a city newsletter that's hitting homes on November 5th. We got word today, it's moved up a month because of the election. So we have, the information's due the 1st. Our plan was to have something in the December newsletter. So now we suddenly have to try and get, I need to have something in that newsletter about the parks. So we're really scrambling to figure out what we're going to do
Okay.
and have it in there.
I understand that you're under a lot of pressure and there's a lot of competing.
Well, yeah,
competing
it's just,
things.
I apologize because it's not the way I dreamed it. So I really have to pivot. We got to come up with something
Got it.
better.
And if you need help with brainstorming and all, reach out.
Absolutely.
And I think I like what Keisha just said, which was, like, let's think then to the spring, let's think to early March and, make it like a party day, or a party weekend and every few
Yeah.
hours you're at different
Yeah.
parks or something.
We had to,
It's like a garden tour.
like,
Yeah.
for example, we had excellent feedback from someone that lives near Indian Meadows because she asked, and this was so great that she asked this. She said, I thought the pathways were going to connect and they just end. And we said they are absolutely going to connect, but they won't, we held off doing that section until the greenway comes through so that we didn't rip out what we'd already done. And then now they'll mesh up nicely. But so I made a note after I talked to her, we're going to put a yard sign up that says future connection to the greenway coming in 2023. So we'll put that out there so that because people are going to ask those questions. So it wouldn't be, once we get the string up around that area, we could have, I like the idea of the kettle corn out there, have a popcorn, that piece of equipment called the park horse. So it could be popcorn on the park horse or something like that. So we'll
But you're also moving your offices and you're moving out of the community center and so forth. So at the same time,
who would be interested? If we had pulled together a working group, who would be interested?
Well, before you say that, I guess I was excited about this and now I'm concerned. I mean, it sounds like from everything you've said, we're not ready. Doing what you just said is going to lead people to think that it's more open than it is.
Well, what I'm saying is doing it in November. We do something in November.
I would prefer to do more smaller things in the spring
Okay.
and in this rush newsletter that you get out, actually say, we're planting grass, please stay off the grass.
Okay.
Rather than announcing the parks being ready, because then people are going to do all the things we don't want them to do.
And we're
Yeah.
can even talk about like as small sections open, we hope
Right.
you enjoy them prior to our, you know,
Yes, that's a great
yeah,
idea.
build up
That's a
to
great
it.
idea.
prior to our spring unveiling, not an
Yeah.
unveiling, but
Yeah.
that kind of build it up with
Yeah.
there's something special coming.
That's a great idea. I love that. And then that would allow us, we can target dates out in the future where we know it's going to be okay.
Yes.
And then that could be in the newsletter. That would be easy to put in the newsletter because it's in the
just keep
future.
people informed as what's
Yeah.
going on, because people do jump conclusions like we have done here tonight.
Yeah,
And so we want to do it correctly and we want to do it safely.
okay. Thank you very much. So there's some great pictures in here that are out of date. So, but
Okay.
I do encourage you, please go take a look at Indian Meadows because you'll have questions when you look at it. Okay. Villa you still can't walk into Villa, but there is the playground structure is up. You can see the flag of the new lookout from the street.
Okay.
So it's kind of exciting. You
Are
can
there-
tell
are
when
there
these were
some other
taken. Look at that flooding. Yeah. And now Irvside is a complete construction area. It'll be a lot easier to see Irvside from the street than it was
Mhm.
Villa.
Okay.
It's much easier to see.
Okay. Are there other things to report from Prop C?
That's all I have.
Okay. I would call people's attention to the proposed meeting schedule. We'll put this out. This will be a public document. I think the dates have been vetted. The one question that we had earlier on was about December 21st of this year. But at this stage,
The reason I brought up December 21st is it's the first day of the Ladue School winter break, and I just wanted to make sure that people would be able to be present.
to be here.
So, and Rob's not here anymore, but would we have a quorum?
I'll be able to be here.
So I think we'll work with that. But if you, oh,
I don't know if I'll be here, so I'll just say that. And I don't have kids in the district. I plan to we're going out of town for Christmas, so.
yeah, well, I think we've got at least 4.
Susan, will you be here on December 21st?
I hope.
Are,
You don't have other plans.
okay. So,
I have no plans, but my plans are out of my control at the moment.
yes, understood. So this is the plan. Do we need to adopt this schedule, Beverly?
Yes.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to adopt the proposed meeting schedule for the Parks Commission for 2022 and 2023. Give it, and I mean, we may also need to, this is the proposed schedule, it's a tentative schedule, or what is the proper wording?
Once you accept that you approve the schedule, you move to approve the schedule.
Okay, to move to approve the schedule, and then if something comes up, we will. Subsequent motion.
So are all these dates new, or is this an amendment since we're already in
This is-
2022?
No, this is, so typically we do the kind of a August, September, the ending, and quite frankly, we forgot to put it on the agenda.
So this is the
So typically it goes.
third Wednesday.
So typically it goes from September to September or August to August, but I put it out through the end of the year just because if we could get a whole year on one schedule and you don't have, then we wouldn't forget it.
So this is basically third Wednesdays.
Yes.
Okay,
I was just making sure we weren't amending a schedule that was already out there.
No, your schedule that you were in, this meeting was not,
Schedule.
was
Okay.
not scheduled.
do I hear a motion to adopt the proposed meeting schedule for 2022 and 2023?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
I
I,
Opposed? Motion carried.
would like to just request that we get these as a calendar invite, please.
I did it last year. Yeah, we can do it. Yeah,
Okay.
but it fell off the calendar.
Okay, upcoming dates of importance. I think we've talked about the Harvest Festival this Saturday. Anyone who
resident.
can volunteer, I'm sure it will be appreciated. I think we're going to have our own tent. From what I understand also, it's going to be in the 70s and 80s. So it's not going to be like,
If I could ask, if you do plan to volunteer, if you could let me know so that we have, I can tell the staff, we have, as you all know, we have brand new staff. And I'm not sure you've met them all here at meetings, but they're not going to probably recognize you. So I want to make sure that if you're coming, if there's an area you want to be, and you all have your name, Bill, did you get a name tag? No, Jim, do you
I
have?
don't have.
Oh, we didn't do
We
it.
have
Did
name
we-
tag?
Did the commissioners? Oh, never mind. I apologize. We will make name tags for you. We will make name tags for you.
Okay.
So yeah, please let me know so we can have a name tag for you.
Okay,
I'll be there.
Okay, thank you, Bill.
and so Parks office will be closed. The Parks people will be very busy, but the office will be closed. Weed Warriors, again, any help would be possible, would be appreciated. Next meeting is November 16th. Starry Night will be at Stacy. And is that rain, shine, warm or cold?
Has to be clear skies.
Clear skies, okay. And Kids Night Out. And more Weed Warriors. So does anybody have any other comments tonight? If not, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
I have one comment.
Yes,
I received an email asking about the open, if there still is an open position on the Parks and on our commission. And I wasn't sure how to respond and what the process was.
There's not, in your last email I sent you, Stacy Budke was appointed by the city council last month. Her husband had surgery today and his first chemo. So she sent me an email today that she was unable to attend. Oh. You turn off the recording. You can turn it, you adjourned the meeting, right?
no, we haven't
Oh,
adjourned.
I apologize.
Okay, let us adjourn. We'll hear a motion for adjournment.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Second,
Second.
I second.
all in favor, say aye.
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 I.
Opposed. We are adjourned. Recording off.
There you
Can we?